What's up, y'all? It's Coach Roberta, your friendly disruptor and soul coach. In this pod, I'm going to discuss the relationship community broadcast you didn't know you needed in your life. Ecclesiastes tells us there's nothing new under the sun. That which has been is what will be, and that which is done is what will be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. That's Ecclesiastes 1:9. We're in a time where we hear a lot about creator communities. So guess what? That includes the co-ed space where men and women talk about relationships. The podcast phenomenon was not the first to do it. Although a somewhat rare documentation in the Bible of this type of co-ed space, it did in fact happen. Let's talk about the OG creators community of this sort. So in Song of Solomon, which is part of wisdom literature, it is maybe not the only one, but it's the only one that comes to my mind. And because this is part of my passion project, that actually has a whole community of people, though. A lot of times when we hear about the children of Israel or we read stories, we usually hear about the men in the story, or even as it relates to musicians, we hear about David, we hear about the sons of Korah, we hear about the Levites who were designated by God to be musicians for the children of Israel. But we don't often see an entire book. And again, Song of Solomon is 8 chapters, but it has a community of people interacting. It has the Shulamite, it has King Solomon, it has his friends, it has her friends. It's a co-ed environment. They are doing community together. They are having community conversations, or at best, there is some interaction and engagement. We often don't see that, especially in the Old Testament. We may see one-offs, but even when we read about Esther, or at least when I read about it, it seems like the genders were separate, and to be included or engaged or to approach a king, it was only if he requested you or he extended his scepter to you. I believe that's how it's pronounced. A wand. No, I probably shouldn't call it a wand, but this royal instrument that would be extended from a king to say you have permission. Permission is granted for you to approach me. In this setting, it's a community setting. A lot of it seems to take place in a garden, but she talks about her mom's house. The daughters of Jerusalem are there, and a lot of it is metaphors, but again, the images that are portrayed throughout this whole community conversation, our creator thought about that. And so when we think about community and content creators who are really big on creating community and like-minded people, beloved, know that God was the first to do it and the first to have a community conversation with males and females about relationships, engagement, how we interact with each other, and even how women, because there was some cattiness going on, how they interacted with each other. We can look around our churches and see that it is 70% female in our churches. I don't know what other churches look like on Sunday now. I mentioned in a previous pod, I did grow up Lutheran, so at that time we were the minority. It wasn't as many black families, but I know that most of the families that were there The Caucasian families, they were there with a husband, a wife, and their children. Of the Now that I'm recalling, and it's been over 45 years of the black families that were at the church. Oftentimes the wives would come to church and the husbands didn't, and I know that was the case in our family. My mom was an avid, not just a church goer, but she, a Christian and a believer. She took us to church every Sunday. My dad only came on special occasions, probably what we would call a CME, but in Lutheran church, they probably have a different name or not. But he wasn't a frequent church goer. So again, one of the reasons that I go so hard for us and people that look like me, women that look like me, is because, again, the Shulamite identifies herself as a black woman. Is it exclusive to us? Absolutely not. But we're not an afterthought to God. We've always been the apple of his eye, as is everyone else. But I don't think it's a coincidence that we are in a space where, for us, there are a number of podcasts. Everyone is a relationship expert and trying to solve this problem. In Christendom, secular spaces, and our communities seem like, one of the ones most affected. What if the Song of Solomon is a means of grace to help relationships, marriage, singles, community in a way that we've not thought of? The question is, are you willing to risk not knowing? If you are interested in attending an Inside Out transformational coaching masterclass to level up your relationships, drop a heart in the comments. Until next time, beloved, I wish that you prosper and be in good health even as your soul prospers. This is Coach Roberta, your friendly disruptor and soul coach.